is in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And Todd, his grandfather was adopted. So last year, his mother decided to dip her foot into the online DNA testing. And they found out a ton of information about the family tree and history that they hadn't known before.
Okay, let me tell you something. I can't talk about names.
Okay.
But I was at a Christmas party last week, and somebody who I've known for years comes over to me and is like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you what happened to me. And Barry and I are like, what happened? So this guy goes on to tell, we're going to tell like the whole story later, but just the gist of it. He goes on to tell us that he did the DNA test from 23andMe. Then he gets a phone call from his aunt, who is not his aunt, it's his cousin. His grandmother he finds out his grandmother is not his grandmother. His grandmother is his aunt. One of his parents is not his parent.
What?
I mean, it's just like, then the whole family like is in turmoil now.
And nobody knew this prior, or they were keeping the secrets?
I think they were keeping the secrets, and then like somebody in the family decided that they would try to fake a DNA test.
Great, those always work. DNA, A-OK.
Yeah, no, this is like a big problem.
Well, Todd's hoping that he doesn't run into that problem, but he is worried about security. If his information, his DNA, is going to be sold to a third party.
Well, we did a whole podcast about this.
So I just tell him to download the podcast?
No.
Oh.
No, it was, well, we did a podcast with Komando on Demand. What we did the podcast about was, I don't know if you remember the story about back in April, the Sacramento police nabbed a serial murderer, the Golden State Killer, by doing DNA tests and actually going to like a public DNA database, GED match, that exists. And that, I don't know if you ever, there's actually a 60-minute story about this guy. He's running this whole website like out of like his duplex.
Wow.
It's really crazy. So Todd, have you decided whether or not you're going to give up your DNA?
Yeah, so I was really strongly considering it just because, like, the story you had, I just really want to find out things we don't know about the family. And I went to at least Ancestry.com and started reading their privacy statements, and there were about 5 different documents, and I'm not a lawyer, but so I reached out to them because it wasn't 100% clear what the policy was, I thought. And luckily they responded pretty quickly and said, well, as long as you opt out for this one prompt, we won't sell your DNA. And so I said that feels good, but I wanted to still run it by you because whether there's another site or just your experience with this, is there one you would recommend, or would you say don't do it at all?
Well, do you think that your mom or your dad is not your mom and dad?
No, well, you know what? It's my grandfather was adopted, so we just want to know, are there other relatives and people that we don't know, at all, because we don't have any history past, before him. We just don't have any connections there.
Well, it's really fascinating what's happening. I also learned, as I've been doing some research on this, is that there's actually a private Facebook group where people can go if they have identified family members that are not their family members or have found new family members. And there's I don't know, close to 10,000 people in this Facebook group. It's amazing.
Wow.
When you start looking at the legal mumbo jumbo, you're actually right, Todd. I mean, it's hard to decipher what's going on. And this year has been especially difficult for companies like 23andMe and Ancestry because the customer service reps are no longer customer service reps, is that they've become family therapists. Because people are calling in saying, how can this be? Explain this to me. And so they actually putting these customer service reps through psychological counseling training. It's crazy. So a lot of people were totally freaked out in April about the Golden State Killer and what was going on. Of course, we always want to catch the murderers, but we also want to maybe not know that dad is not dad or mom is not mom, right?
Right.
So in July, Ancestry.com and 23andMe, they came out and they said, listen, unless you opt out, like they said to you, we won't sell your DNA to a third party. But keep in mind, GlaxoSmithKline, right? They own this. And so what they're doing with the DNA is they are now coming up with new pharmaceutical drugs and treatments based on, they say, anonymized DNA. But You know, the DNA is your key to just about everything. And what that means is that if you're going to be on one of these databases, be prepared. It's going to get out there one way or another. Hey, if you do find something interesting, let us know.